Fuel filter replacement on a Mazda 6. This is a diesel 2017 model, and if you just look in here behind the battery, you can see where the fuel filter is located. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is make enough room to gain access to that filter. So what I'll probably do is I'm going to disconnect the battery, take out the battery surround, and leave access to that. So before I disconnect the battery under the bonnet, I have connected up this EOBD connector here. This is to keep the memory, so it goes into the 16 pin, and then this is an external battery that I just hook up to do that. And now I'm able to close the door as well and be able to move it up and down if I need to with that setup. So I'll be able to disconnect the battery here now safely. So this is the top bracket, just two 10mm nuts that need to be removed, and then you have hooks on either side that you need to just pull away. That exposes the 10mm nuts here on both battery connectors. I've removed the negative terminal out of the way here, and then the positive one I've cable tied and just hooked it back out of position. So it's that one here, and then it's that one here, and then the battery is nice and free. So I'm going to remove that out of the way and see how much space I now have. I now have the battery removed and frees up a lot of space. So this electrical connector here that goes into the bottom of the fuel filter needs to be removed. This here is the housing, the protective housing here. So that's a 10mm, it looks like, just there to remove that. And yeah, they're the first things I'm going to remove, and I see another one just over here. So there, electrical connector, and pop it out of here as well. I'll take that down and then see how much room I have to screw that off. Okay, so with the electrical connector disconnected here, there's a clip down there and there's a clip in there. What you will need to do with that is reach up behind. So just up in behind here and squeeze the clip in, because it is that type clip. Let me just knock that off. So it's that type of clip where you need to squeeze in at the back. So I just reached up behind, squeeze that. The same with down there, it's quite tight, but you'll get it done. Just here, 10mm, then 10mm here, which I've backed out. Take it out the rest of the way, and then this housing becomes loose, so you can move that whole housing now and pull it out of the way. Frees out there. That leaves me access to the two top nuts and then to the hoses. So the next thing I'll do is disconnect that and these two hoses, or you could just disconnect the hoses and remove the whole lot on the bench. As you can see, these clips here, you'll just need pliers to squeeze them together, move them back out of the way, and these are already color coded to the housing pipes that they go on, so red to red on this. And if you're having an issue breaking away the seal, catch a hold of it and try and twist it. It's always good if you can break the seal with a twist first. That makes it a lot easier to pull back. So I've done one. I'm going to do the other one in there that you can see is marked yellow, and I'm going to take this whole unit out complete and then separate the filter out on the bench. Housing is now removed complete, and these two top nuts here are 12s, which I will be using my little cordless impact to remove. So with them out, it's just a case of lifting this up and allows access to the fuel filter. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this part of the housing back in the vise, and I'm going to take off that bottom connector there with the multi-grip pliers and drain out all the fuel out of it. So this is the setup now, just clamped in the vise. I'm going to remove this electrical connector. You can drain it out here first by just twisting that back, which I'm going to do. I'm just going to catch it in a can, and then I'm going to be switching over the filters. I'll be using a strap to twist this filter out of the housing. Okay, I've got the bottom electrical unit disconnected, and I am just removing the filter now. So I just have this strap, an oil filter chain, or even if it wasn't so loose, you might be able to remove it with your hands. Anything to back it off will do. So I'm just going to take this out now and fit the new filter. Have the fuel filter now removed, have it on the bench here, and I'm just comparing one to another. Looks to be all good. So there'll be a little rubber seal that sits in there, which is fitted onto this. You'll want to change that, and it's just located in the new filter there, stuck on by tape. When you're putting it back up, you want to rub a bit of oil along the seal on the top and twist it in. So I'm just going to put this all back together now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is self-prime this. So what I have here is just two caps to stop fuel coming out. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to fill this with perfectly clean diesel. Then I'll put this cap on, turn it around and fit it. I recommend doing this because you can fill the filter right up to the very top before install, but you got to make sure that the fuel is perfectly clean and no particles or contamination of any kind are going into your new filter. With that said, I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to reinstall this filter. Fuel filter is back on now, and everything is tightened back up. These are an extremely handy thing to have. You just cap them so the fuel doesn't be coming out, and you can fill this up to the very top then with no issue at all. I'm going to turn this around, put the housing, which is over there, back on, and then it's ready to go back in the car. Reason being why I fill it up, it makes it a lot easier to start. You're not struggling with so much air in the system trying to force it through, and like I said earlier, just make sure that the diesel is nice and clean, and you only use fuel that is not contaminated in any way, shape or form. What I tend to do with mine, because we have strainers, I have a bottle that I fill with diesel just over there to the side, and then I use a little mesh filter to put it in. Okay, so that's all back together now, and I have the wiring run up along the side. Just a side note on that, you could easily disconnect that out on the bench. It'll probably be a lot easier. You have more access to the back besides disconnecting it in the car. And in case you're wondering, this is the mesh filter that I used, 125 micron, and filter the fuel going in. I have the fuel filter back in position and everything tightened up. It's easier to put these hoses on before you tighten up the 10mm nuts on the bracket itself. I have the electrical connector put back on as well and rerouted and clipped into the steel casing. So that is pretty much it. All I need to do now is refit the battery, and it will be ready to start afterwards. What I say in all these jobs, if you are unsure or you're not familiar with these jobs, I always recommend either bringing it to someone to get it done, or else getting help from someone that has the knowledge. When you are removing batteries and doing fuel filters, you can run into problems unless you are familiar with them. So that would be a tip on that. Otherwise, you have all the information now to put it all back together, and next time you see this, the engine will be running and the job will be complete. As you can hear, the engine is running and this job is now complete. I really would advise filling up the fuel filter before install. It makes the starting of these ones so much easier. With a few turns, this one started up. Less stress on the starter, less power drain on the battery and so on, and you will have less problems in restarting. So that's it. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like, share, comment and subscribe. I also have on my channel already how to do an oil and filter change on this with resetting maintenance lights that come on in your dash. So if you're interested in any of those, be sure to check those out. And thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.